Hello, everyone. My name is Nishana Jones, and this is my third interview for my macro project, parental intervention project. I have interviewee three here with me, and we're just going to start off with asking, what personal experiences do you have with justice involved individuals? So individuals have been incarcerated or in jail, and how have these experiences influenced you as a child?
Okay, so experience that I've had with an individual incarcerated in jail would be my father. He was incarcerated when I was a young age, about I would say 6 to 8, around that time frame. So when my father was incarcerated, because he was an immigrant, he had an option to either stay incarcerated for a longer amount of time or leave the country and not come back. So he chose to leave the country and not come back. And me being here in the US means I can never see my father unless if I leave the country.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the next question is, these individuals you have experiences with, are any of them parents, which we know that's your father? And have you seen like the firsthand cycle of trauma, the justice system, and how, with the justice system and how it permanently damages a family? Have you firsthand seen that?
Yes, absolutely. I went through it. How it example how it destroyed my family. That was another source of income. So um my mother and my father, they both had it was myself and my little sister. We had a pretty decent living situation, but because of that, because of my father being incarcerated and told to either leave the country or stay in jail longer,
Mm-hmm.
he left the country and that source of income no longer existed. So with that being an issue, we have to find other places to live in a certain amount of time, and we pretty much just struggled a bit financially without that other source of income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that's just affected. Also, just not having a father figure growing up, teaching you things that would be helpful in the long run.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Do you believe that if there were resources available for parents in the justice system, such as like visitation or counseling for the parent or the child, the people that you know would have a better relationship with their children? Do you think that, your father having that or you having that could have resulted in you having a better relationship?
Yes, I would think so. If they, if my father did have if he did serve his time and had a way to, still be in this country after serving his time, as long as I was able to communicate with him and see and know where he's at all places, that would have definitely helped because of how pretty much because of them telling him that he had to leave the country. It was years until I made contact with my father because we didn't know where he was at,
Right.
and there was resources in jail. At least I would be able to call him whenever I was able to, or visit him whenever they have visitations,
Mm-hmm.
and at least it wouldn't have severely I wouldn't have severely lose my relationship with my father.
Right. Okay, thank you. And then for the next question, I'm basically going to tell you what my proposal is for this project. So basically, it's called the Parental Intervention Project, and it's a multifaceted program that's aimed in improving the well-being and outcome of justice-involved mothers and fathers as well as their children. So basically, they already have this program in place. It was created in 2009 in San Bernardino County. but it's only in San Bernardino County. So with this program, they have like in custody trauma recovery and family relations classes, and just psychoeducation for the child and the parents, as well as counseling, parenting teaching classes, and then they do pre and post classes assessments after those classes are done with the child and the parents. So I'm proposing that this existing group therapy program be expanded across the nation as a peer network of justice involved parents. So do you believe that these additional experiences and perspectives would have made a difference for the parents we have been discussing today?
Yes, I absolutely think it would, and for any parent for that matter, because there's no one, there's no one there's no one that's prepared for their parent or a family member being incarcerated. You don't know how to react. You don't know how to cope. There's no one who's been trained and dealing with something like that. Because, for example, with my father, how he just quickly had to leave.
Right.
The first thing my mother had to think about is how's she gonna provide food on the table, not how is she gonna heal us with something like that, not comfort us emotionally, or she didn't have she that was far from her mind. What was immediately on her mind was finding a place to live and putting food on the table.
Yeah, survival.
Yeah, there's no other resource that she had. There was no type of training to how to pretty much deal with us and deal with the trauma.
Right. Okay, and then this is my last question. So now that you know my proposal and about the Parent Intervention Project, what do you think, based on your own experiences, what would you recommend, based on those experiences, what would you recommend to add to the project?
I so I think what should be added is in a case where someone's been incarcerated and they do have a child, and let's say if there's at least one parent in that child's life while the other one's incarcerated, if they could be some kind of caseworker representative to you know speak with that family or give them resources or like immediate resource to help with that, with something like that, especially how traumatic it is for the kids. I think that would definitely be helpful, or at least how to maneuver with a situation like that, because a lot of people don't know the next steps after
Mm-hmm.
something like that happens. So I think if you can add like a physical person to help with that, as at least immediately after a parent's being incarcerated, or at least if the court can send something to the immediate family of someone being incarcerated, that would be very helpful.
I like that. That's a good perspective nobody mentioned before. Okay, that was the end. Thank you so much for interviewing with me.
You are welcome.